You open your eyes, and the first thing you see is gold. Walls that shimmer. Polished floors that mirror your trembling face. Ceilings painted with dragons that seem alive in the flickering candlelight. But the gold does not comfort you. It suffocates. It presses down like a coffin lid, gleaming, heavy, eternal. The air smells of incense, sweet but cloying, as if 1,000 flowers have been left to rot on a corpse. The sweetness burns your throat, and then the laughter. Soft at first, a ripple in the silence. Then louder, echoing from corridors where no one stands. The sound of women, giggling, whispering, their voices stitched together with cruelty and longing. You look down the hall. Shadows glide across the lacquered floor. Figures in silk, faces pale, eyes hollow. They pass by you without turning their heads. Their robes whisper like blades drawn from their sheaths. You run. You don't know why, but your body moves, bare feet against stone, silk, hem dragging. But each door you reach slams shut, one after another, until the last door closes with a thunder that shakes your chest. You are inside, and you understand. There is no way out. The palace has swallowed you whole. And as the silence returns, a voice coils in your mind. What would you trade to be remembered? What would you surrender, just to survive a single night in the Emperor's cage? The door does not close, it slams. The echo rolls through the corridor like thunder, rattling your bones. Behind you, the outside world is gone. What remains is silence, thick as smoke, broken only by the faint hiss of burning incense. They call it the Palace of Heavenly Purity, but to you, it feels less like heaven, and more like a coffin. The stone beneath your feet is cold, colder than the night air you left behind, and the walls, painted with gold dragons and crimson blossoms, glow faintly in the torchlight, like the skin of a predator waiting to strike. The eunuchs do not look at you. They glide forward in silence, hands folded in their sleeves, their footsteps barely touching the ground. You wonder if they are men or ghosts. They do not answer questions. They do not acknowledge fear. They are guides only to your new prison. Every step forward steals something from you. Your name, already fading. Your family, now a shadow you may never see again. Your freedom, buried under layers of silk and obedience. And yet, some part of you whispers that you are lucky, that beyond these walls lies splendor, jade corridors, silk robes, endless banquets, that thousands of girls prayed to stand where you stand now. But when you touch the embroidered sleeve they give you, you notice the threads. They shimmer beautifully, but the fabric is rough against your skin, like rope. The palace dresses you in chains, disguised as silk. Ahead, the chamber doors rise taller than any temple you've known. Carved wood, studded with bronze, their surface etched with phoenixes taking flight. But the birds are not free. They are frozen mid-wing, wings clipped by the frame. You realize it then. This palace is not a home. It is a stage. Every smile you will wear, every gesture you will make, is a performance. And the audience is the emperor. One man, unseen, yet everywhere. The eunuchs stop. The doors begin to open. Inside is darkness, thicker than ink. You breathe once, and as you step through, you feel the truth press against your chest. The palace has no windows, only mirrors, and it is not built for you to live. It is built for you to disappear. They line you up. Dozens of girls, eyes lowered, bodies trembling under silk that doesn't belong to them. The chamber is vast, but the silence is suffocating, broken only by the scrape of slippers across polished stone. You are not a person. Here, you are an object, a vessel. Eunuchs circle like merchants at a market. Their eyes scan every detail. Your teeth, your hair, your skin. One tilts your chin upward with fingers colder than steel, peering into your mouth as if searching for cracks in porcelain. Another lifts your sleeve to inspect the paleness of your arm, the smoothness of your skin, as though your worth could be measured by touch. The emperor is not present. He does not need to be. His shadow fills the room, woven into every glance and gesture. For him, you are merchandise. For the palace, you are currency. Some girls faint beneath the pressure. Others bite their lips until they bleed, desperate not to cry. To weep is to show weakness. To show weakness is to vanish. Everyone knows the stories. The ones deemed unfit are quietly escorted away, their names erased before they even began. You glance at the others. They are your sisters, your rivals, your mirrors. And yet, none of you are allowed to speak. Not a word, not a plea. Silence is your only shield. The ritual stretches on like an endless nightmare. Each inspection, another theft of your dignity, another layer of your humanity stripped away. And when it is over, you realize something chilling. You have not been chosen. You have been purchased. Your innocence sold in exchange for a silk robe, a number, a place in the emperor's invisible collection. The eunuchs step back, satisfied. The chamber doors close, again, with a groan. And the echo feels like applause. Applause for a play you never agreed to perform. The days blur. Silk replaces your skin. Incense replaces your breath. Silence replaces your voice. You are told you now belong to the emperor. But you do not see him. Not once. Not even a shadow. His presence is everywhere, yet his body is nowhere. He is both your master and your ghost. There are hundreds of you here, concubines draped in jewels, their hair braided into perfect crowns, their faces painted with powdered smiles. From a distance, you all look like queens. Up close, you see the EHIB truth. Each is a prisoner dressed for display, a bird in a cage painted gold. And the cruelest truth? Most of you will never share the emperor's bed. You are brides without a husband, wives without a marriage. You wait, endlessly, desperately, for a summons that may never come. Some wait for months. Others wait for years. Some die waiting. Thy palace is filled with whispers. Every corridor carries the same hunger. Will he choose me? Will tonight be my night? The question gnaws at every concubine's heart, yet the answer is silence, and the silence becomes unbearable. You lie on silk sheets, untouched. Nights stretch into years. The air grows heavy with perfume, but there is no warmth. The laughter of other concubines echoes in the distance, mocking, or perhaps weeping in disguise. Luxury turns to dust in your mouth. 1,000 dishes are served, yet you cannot taste them. 1,000 gowns are gifted, yet they feel like funeral robes. You are not alive. You are preserved, embalmed, like a jewel sealed in glass, admired but never touched. And slowly, you begin to understand. This is not a harem. This is a graveyard of brides. Each woman here is a headstone, smiling, waiting, fading. Loneliness does not remain silent for long. It festers, it curdles, it becomes something sharp. The palace teaches you quickly. Survival is not about grace, but about cunning. Behind every painted smile hides a blade. Behind every soft voice, a trap. The women who once stood beside you as sisters are now enemies cloaked in silk. Whispers spread like venom in the corridors. She is favored. She carries his child. She will fall soon. Each word is a weapon. Each rumor, a battle cry. At night, laughter echoes from rival chambers, brittle and cruel, timed so you cannot sleep. A cup of tea is placed before you. Sweet, fragrant, comforting. But you do not drink. You never drink. Because you have heard the stories of powders that melt organs, of broths that numb the tongue until breathing stops. The war here is not fought with swords. It is fought with cosmetics, with perfume, with hairpins dipped in silent poisons. A silk ribbon tied too tightly can be as deadly as a dagger. You learn to smile while watching your back. You learn to accept gifts with trembling hands, as if each golden trinket may explode into ash. And you learn to hide your own ambitions, bury them deep, because envy is a lantern in the dark, and lanterns are too easy to extinguish. Sometimes you hear the screams at night, short, cut off too soon. The next morning, the courtyards are swept clean, the chambers sealed, the name of the woman never spoken again. And yet, the games continue. The music plays, the silks shimmer. Because cruelty here is not an interruption. It is the rhythm of survival. You realize then, this is not a sisterhood. This is a battlefield. And the weapons are not swords, but smiles. Every glance, every whisper, every betrayal. They are not truly about you. They are about him, the Emperor. You do not see him often. Some never see him at all. He is a figure behind veils, behind doors, behind layers of protocol so thick they might as well be walls of stone. And yet, his presence is constant, suffocating, like the heat of a fire you cannot escape. His whims are law. His sighs are scripture. A single smile from his lips can raise a girl to the heavens, crown her in jewels, bathe her in silks. A single frown can erase her name forever, reducing her to ash before the ink of her title dries. You wait for him in terror. Nights stretch endlessly, each footstep outside your door a storm in your chest. Will it stop at your chamber? Will the ivy curtain draw back? Or will the silence continue, leaving you to rot in velvet loneliness? And yet, if the curtain does rise, there is no victory. For to be chosen is not to be loved. It is to be consumed. He does not take wives. He does not take partners. He takes bodies. And when he is finished, he leaves shadows. You are not a bride. You are an offering. The palace is his altar, and your life is the sacrifice. The others smile when they speak of him, but their eyes betray the truth. Fear, worship, desperation. He is less a man than a god carved from flesh. And gods do not ask for permission. And so you live in the shadow of a figure you will never truly know, a master whose absence is more terrifying than his presence. In the Forbidden City, the highest honor a woman can dream of is also the quickest path to her grave. Pregnancy. They whisper it like a prayer, a curse, and a death sentence all at once. To carry the emperor's child is to step into a storm where every concubine becomes your enemy, every corridor a trap, every cup of water a coffin in disguise. For if your child is born a son, he carries not just your blood, but the future of the dynasty. That future is power. And power is poison. Your body becomes a battlefield. Other concubines smile sweetly, their hands grazing your stomach, blessing the life inside. But behind their eyes burns fury, envy, and the desperate calculation of survival. One more heir means one less chance for their own. So they wait. They plot. They strike. A cup of tea left by your bedside. Fragrant, soothing, deadly. A hand extended to steady your step. Then a shove down marble stairs. A pillow pressed too long in the night. A midwife who hesitates, whose trembling hands accidentally cut too deep. Silk sheets that should cradle a mother and child become soaked in red. The palace whispers carry the news, not with grief, but with satisfaction. Another rival erased, another womb silenced. Even when the child survives, survival is never guaranteed. Newborns vanish, taken in the night, claimed by disease, by fate, by accident. Their cries echo once, then no more. And if you are the mother, you are left hollow, your body broken, your spirit carved open. Your tears are not allowed. To mourn is weakness. To complain is treason. So you smile, lips trembling, even as your child is carried away. Because in this palace, motherhood is not life. It is a wager, and the house always wins. You realize it with horror. Here, the cradle is carved from the same wood as the coffin. Death in the palace does not arrive with drums or trumpets. It arrives quietly, like a whisper pressed against the walls. One day, a concubine laughs in the garden, her silk sleeves brushing the petals of plum blossoms. The next day, her chamber is sealed, her name erased, her belongings burned. The palace does not weep. It does not remember. It devours. They say the Forbidden City was built on symmetry. Perfect courtyards, perfect gates, perfect order. But beneath that order is a graveyard no one dares name. Hidden morgues where pale bodies are stacked like discarded dolls. Some poisoned, some starved, some strangled with the very silk ribbons they once wore with pride. Sometimes the deaths are quiet punishments. A woman accused of breaking protocol is handed a golden bowl filled with wine laced with powder. She drinks, her lips painted crimson by poison, her final act mistaken for elegance. Other times, the punishments are slower. Food withdrawn, doors locked, servants dismissed. until silence fills the chamber and the woman withers into a husk, her body found only when the stench leaks into the corridor. The palace teaches you to forget, to look away, but the echoes remain. At night, the walls seem to breathe. You hear footsteps that never end, sighs that never fade, faint scratching from behind sealed doors. You wonder, do the dead truly leave? Or do their shadows press themselves into the stones, refusing to vanish? And yet, in the daylight, the music continues. Silk shimmers, perfume fills the air, dancers spin on marble floors while corpses lie beneath. It is then you understand the truth. This palace is not a paradise. It is a mausoleum draped in gold, and every woman here is already halfway buried. The dead are gone, but the palace remembers. At night, when the lanterns flicker and the courtyards fall into shadow, the silence grows heavy, too heavy. You walk the corridors, and the air feels alive, like lungs expanding and contracting around you. The stones themselves seem to breathe. Sometimes you hear laughter where there should be none, the playful giggles of young women echoing from empty rooms. Sometimes you hear footsteps pacing just behind you. But when you turn, the hall is bare. And sometimes you hear weeping, soft, endless, pressed into the corners of your skull until you wonder if the palace itself is crying. You remember the stories whispered by eunuchs, that the Forbidden City is built not only on earth, but on bones, that every chamber hides secrets, that every wall has absorbed screams too loud to fade. And in those moments of haunting, one truth claws at your chest. These women may be erased from the records, their names forbidden to be spoken, but they are not gone. They cling to silk curtains, to jade tiles, to every piece of carved wood that has touched their skin. You close your eyes, but the questions do not leave you. What is beauty worth if it becomes a prison? What is power worth if it devours its own daughters? The corridors stretch endlessly, lined with shadows that walk where no living body dares. The palace may glitter in daylight, but in the dark, it shows its true form. Not a court, not a sanctuary, a tomb that refuses to stay silent. The palace stands empty now. Its walls are still gold, its courtyards still perfect, its silence still thick. Tourists walk through the Forbidden City, their voices bouncing off the stones, unaware of the lives buried beneath their feet. But if you listen closely, the air still carries weight. The perfume of forgotten women, the whispers of rivalries that ended in silence, the weeping of mothers whose arms were left empty. The story of the concubines is not just history. It is warning, a lesson carved in jade, written not with ink, but with blood. Because the truth is this: cruelty does not always wear the face of violence. Sometimes it wears silk. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it promises paradise and delivers a coffin. You wonder, have we really escaped the palace? Or do we still build cages of gold today? Cages where women are reduced to ornaments, where power devours innocence, where silence is forced upon those who suffer. The emperor is gone. The dynasties have fallen. But the pattern remains, hidden in new forms. The hunger for control, the thirst for beauty, the endless cycle of envy, betrayal, and silence. The palace teaches us one final truth. It is possible to live surrounded by luxury, yet die in despair. It is possible to be adorned with jewels, yet be invisible. It is possible to be remembered only as a shadow. And so the Forbidden City does not simply hold history. It holds a mirror of cruelty, a mirror of power, a mirror of us.